Hi. I know it's late, but I'm live. I wanna make sure I do this on Wednesday, even though it is super late. Um, it is the week of mystery mail call. So tomorrow we're gonna have a big group of people over at our headquarters, kind of assembling and packaging everything. So I wanted to stay a little bit late tonight and get things as prepared for those guys as I could, which is why one of the reasons why I'm so late right now. The other reason is because I'm apparently 107 years old and I can't figure out how to work a webcam today, but when I can certainly do it every other time I go live. Doesn't matter. Figured it out. We're here. I got a big stack of books, as always, and I'm going to go through them, even though I fully expect nobody to join me on this live stream except for my cat, which is all you need. Her and her pathetic, desperate meows. Okay. Hey, Andrew. There is someone here. That's good. Okay. I decided, or I realized that I can definitely I can do this live stream at my house. I don't have to do it at our mail call dungeon like I have been the last few months. I can do it here because I'm doing it on YouTube. I don't need to do it on my phone. Whatever. I'm stalling at this point. These are my comics. I'm gonna do the bare minimum kind of shuffle because I did read a bunch of these and I don't want them to be in some order, some semblance of order that they were in last night when I read them. Okay. First one on the stack. One of the ones I didn't read. All right, this is Time Before Time, number 10. Hi, kitty. Yeah, hi. I'm working. I'm talking about Time Before Time, although I won't really be able to talk much about it because I have not read this yet. Although I love this comic. It's one of my favorites. You have a lot to say. It's kind of bugging me. There's not enough people talking about this, not enough people reading it. I'm gonna take a risk. I'm gonna open it up, show off some of the interior artwork. But I gotta put on my glove first because I'm a weirdo. This is great. This is great content. It's off to a great start. But no, this is a like a sci-fi kind of crime comic that is very hard to describe, but is a lot of fun, and it's got really cool colors in here that I quite like the art as well. I wish it wasn't reversed, but that's okay. I don't even really remember what's happening in this book. This is a good example. This comic is a very good reason why I go out of my way to read the previous issue before I read the current issue, because a book like this is sometimes it can be hard to follow, but it's a time travel story, so that's to be expected. I feel like this comic is a lot further along. It's only 10 issues in, which isn't really that far in the grand scheme of things. Time Before Time. I like it. I brought it onto the Comic Tom show a couple months ago. I don't think he likes this book as much as I do. Hey, brother. This cat is driving me nuts. Get up here if you want to get up here. You're just yelling at me. Dear Lord. Okay. All right. Okay. Next book. Ooh. Okay. I'm quite enjoying The Crimson Cage. This is Crimson Cage, number 3 out of 5 from AWA, my favorite publisher. I'll say it every chance I get, but this book is wrestling mixed with Macbeth, which is the most bizarre, random combination in the world, but it works. It works so well with this comic. Excuse you. Hi. Yeah. She likes Crimson Cage too. This is about in the way that and similar to Macbeth, it is about our main character who has lofty ambitions and goals, and here's a premonition from some like witches in the swamp who kind of tell him that he's got great things ahead of him before, a big fall will happen, which is kind of the general plot of Macbeth. And this comic does a really good job of taking all of that and transposing it into the world of like 80s wrestling, which sounds like it should not work, and it really should not work, but it absolutely does. It's got a lot of cool action pages like this. And the previous issue had a very graphic murder sequence in it, which was really unexpected and kind of came out of nowhere. But I've been thinking a lot about my overall favorite AWA comics from this publisher. And even though this one is still ongoing, this is 3 out of 5. So it's just past the halfway mark. Even though this one is not wrapped up, I'm pretty sure I'm going to safely say that Crimson Cage is definitely in the upper echelons of the comics that this company has put out ever since they came out in 2020. Why only one glove if you're touching them with both hands? Quiet you. But no, when I'm reading, I use my left hand to hold the book and my right hand to turn the page. And I find if I have gloves on both hands, I can't get the right grip. It doesn't work. Also, I have to pet the cat, and I can't pet the cat with gloves because then I get cat all over my gloves. Not to mention gloves all over the cat. Calm down. Oh my goodness. Hi. Okay. Oh God. I was stressing out about explaining this one. This is Green Lantern number 11, which clearly, if you know me, you know that I am a Green Lantern fan, even though I hate calling myself a fan of anything. But this is the new issue of Green Lantern number 11. I really don't like this run. This run makes no sense, and I am not enjoying it. I'm not having a good time reading this. The variant covers are fantastic. I have quite been enjoying these variants. But the story inside of this reads a lot like... I actually posted something on my Instagram story last night, I think from issue 10. Just a snapshot of one of the pages in this book that just makes no sense. It is way too epic. It's too big. It's confusing, but not in a good way. Like the Jeff Johns Green Lantern run was certainly confusing, especially if that's your first time reading Green Lantern. But it's confusing in a way that you can still kind of identify who the villains are. You kind of have a sense of who the main characters are and their allies and some of the other organizations in this world and the general conflict. Even though it may not make sense, it's still... Even though it may be confusing, it still makes some kind of sense. I know those don't sound like they go together, but this current Green Lantern story is none of that. It's just a lot of big action, which I really don't like. And it reads to me, honestly, a lot like a Jon Stewart fan fiction, which I don't know. There's a lot... He becomes like a god or something in here. Yeah, I mean it's cool. It's cool enough artwork. It's also not my favorite, but he becomes like a god and takes on this big cosmic villain who's trying to like cancel the universe or something because people are bad. A very generic like people suck, so I'm gonna wipe out everybody kind of plot line. And this is everything I don't like about superhero comics right here, which sucks because it's my favorite section of superhero comics. I love Green Lantern the most, and this is not a good Green Lantern comic. It really feels, like I said, like Jon Stewart fan fiction. Like there are so many other cool characters, even in this comic, that aren't being focused on. You have, actually right here, she's on the cover. The Teen Lantern is a pretty cool character who has this like gauntlet that doesn't make a lot of sense, and there's a lot of mystery around her, but she has spent most of this run kind of in a coma or like in a hospital bed and not really doing much. You've got Jo, the Green Lantern from Far Sector. She's a badass, but she's definitely playing second fiddle to Jon Stewart, who has always been kind of flat and boring to me as a person, as a character. So not into this run. Jeffrey Thorne's Green Lantern run. Not doing it for me, but since I'm trying to collect every Green Lantern comic ever, I'm definitely not going to cancel this book. I don't cancel books anyway, apparently. Next up, Silver Coin. Oh, goodness. Okay. This book was really cool. If you watched my recent top 5 comics from January, I put issue 8 of the Silver Coin as my second favorite comic from last month. This one was not as good, which is fair. I don't think any other Silver Coin comic could have been as good. That was my favorite issue of this run so far. But each chapter of this story is kind of a standalone story about a coin with a curse that does bad things to whoever is holding the coin at the time. And this main character is kind of an arsonist who almost burns down a building with a little girl inside. And he pretends to rescue her when he's about to get caught. He's like, "Oh, hey, I found this girl. I totally saved her. Let's get her to the hospital. Aren't I a hero, everyone?" And he keeps stressing out because he knows that when this girl wakes up in the hospital, that she's going to be able to say, "That guy was trying to kill me." So the whole book deals with like his guilt and his inner conflict about what to do to get out of this situation. And it doesn't help that he is a gigantic scumbag, POS. So you're not really rooting for him the whole time, but you also know that because of the nature of this comic, that nothing good is going to happen to him. It's a really cool book. I'm a little biased towards Silver Coin. I like it a lot, so it takes a lot for me to not like an issue of this comic. 4 down, only this many to go. Okay, let's see. What's next? Thor. What happens in this issue? I don't remember. It reads really fast. Either that or I'm reading it really fast. It's probably a little bit of both. So I'm going to refresh my memory. This is part 4, I think, of the God of Hammers plot line, where Mjolnir kind of like gains sentience and tries to take out Thor. Right? Am I wrong? Yeah, part 4 of 5 of the God of Hammers. And this issue has, like, as you can see on the front, it kind of has like a team up of people coming to Thor's aid. It's a fine book. I don't really love this plot line as much as I think the wider comic community is. For me, still the high point of Donny Cates' Thor run has been the first storyline with the Black Winter and Galactus, and nothing he's done since then in this book has really captured me as much. There's just this story arc has a lot of superhero combat, and maybe I'm just not the right person to be talking about superhero combat because that's like my least favorite kind of comic. It's just action with not a lot of substance beneath it. I do really like Nick Klein's artwork. He's doing a fantastic job on this run, and I especially love the way he draws Throg down here. He's adorable, but also a badass. His little hammer, little baby Mjolnir down here. I love it. I love Throg. He's a lot of fun, and honestly, he needs his own comic. I would be much more excited to read that. I really like Donny Cates, but I don't necessarily love Thor, so it kind of washes out for me. Unless the plot is super, super good, I am not as interested as I probably should be or could be. So that's Thor. I don't think that was a very good explanation, but that's what you get. That's what you get from me when I wait till 10:30 to do a live stream. Okay, what's this? Maniac of New York. Okay, this is more my speed. This is much more my speed. I love this comic. This is issue 3, I think, out of 5. I'm not sure if they said how long this run is going to go, but the first volume of Maniac of New York went for 5 issues. So I'm assuming we're getting the same thing here. But this is about Harry the Maniac attacking a school. Trying to find a good example of the artwork in here, but this issue, I guess, is mainly the aftermath, because he is leaving this school setting and going to a different location at the end of this issue. And it's hard for me to not, here we go. It's hard for me to not see this comic as a commentary on gun violence in America. The fact that Harry, right down here, this very Jason Voorhees looking dude, he is, in my mind at least, I don't know if I'm reading into it too much, but he is a metaphor for gun violence. Like, he is attacking a school, and there's a lot of dead kids and teachers in this school in these first 2 issues. And at the end of it, I should have seen this coming, because they've been dropping lots of hints that it is also the Yankees opening day. And it turns out by the end of this issue, he has left the school and he has found his way to the baseball stadium, where there are a whole bunch of victims, or soon to be victims, I guess. This is the way the issue ends, with him standing here with a bloody machete looking out over the stadium. It's just a really cool, like, slasher comic on the extreme surface level. If you don't read into it like I am, it's a very fun horror slasher comic, like very clearly influenced by Friday the 13th and Jason Voorhees in particular. But if you are like me and you look for deeper meanings and layers in everything you do, everything you read and watch, there is some kind of social commentary here about the prevalence of, I see it as gun violence, even though Harry doesn't use a gun. You could just say violence in general in American culture, but you could also just stuff all your stuffy analyzing Ryan-ness and just read it as a cool horror comic. Hey, Travis. Okay, this one's fun. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, number 8. This is the final issue of this Supergirl run, and I'm sad to see it wrap up. Actually, no, I'm going to leave this one in. I don't want to spoil it for anybody. It has been a really cool 8-issue arc. If you know the general premise, there is a girl on another planet whose father is murdered by an outlaw, and she asks Supergirl for help tracking him down so she can get revenge. And the storyline has been them chasing this guy from planet to planet, kind of experiencing the catastrophes and chaos that he leaves in his wake as he, traverses the galaxy. And by the time they finally catch up to him at the end, there wasn't a big twist ending. I'm not a person who sits there and tries to predict the ending of stuff as it comes at me, but the ending here did not surprise me in any big way, which on some level is disappointing. But when it's done as well as it is here, Tom King is obviously a very good writer, and he manages to wrap this story up in an extremely emotionally impactful way. It's not going to be a story that pulls the rug out from underneath you and makes you gasp in surprise at the end. It's more like a rumination on revenge and justice and the nature of life and death and a whole bunch. It makes you think about a lot of stuff. So I'm sad to see this one wrap up. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to pick up more Supergirl comics. I don't know what they're going to do with her moving forward. This was just an 8-issue miniseries. I only got this because it was Tom King, and I have enough faith in him as a writer that I felt comfortable trying this series out. But I'll obviously be getting whatever he does next. I don't know if I will be getting Supergirl. I don't know if I'll be getting more into her as a character. She was almost a secondary character in this series when you look at the story is told from the perspective of the girl who's trying to get revenge, who is partnered up with Supergirl. So if at best she's a co-star. So I enjoyed the run, and I will probably pick up a hardcover or trade paperback, whatever collection of it someday. Hi, Agu. Ooh, okay, I'm going to pull this one out. This is Batman the Knight, issue number 2 from Chip Zdarsky, telling the origin story of like teenage Bruce Wayne learning to fight crime. This cover is fantastic. It's done by Riccardo Federici, who really can do no wrong, in my view. This is a perfect cover. But this issue shows Bruce Wayne has now traveled to Europe to try and learn the tricks of the trade, if you will, and learn how to fight crime. And he ends up meeting up with this very Catwoman-esque kind of lady thief who takes Bruce under her wing on like a heist. That's not the right word. They break into the mansion of an oil baron to try and steal his jewels or whatever. So she's teaching him how to sneak into places, to be stealthy, stuff that he's not necessarily going to learn on his own. And he doesn't do that well, which makes sense. He's still learning everything. He's not yet Batman. And I'm just really liking this story. I feel like I shouldn't. Like it's not reinventing the wheel or anything. We know how it's going to end. It's going to end with Batman. That's an ad, by the way. That's a totally different thing. But it's just a cool look at how he trains to become the man that we all know, the Batman that we all know, if you will. It's only going to be 10 issues, and we're already at 2 out of 10. So I don't really know where it's moving a little bit faster than I thought it would. So I have no idea where it's gonna go from here. I don't want to spoil it. I kind of did a little bit, but not too bad. This is a good one. I think this will make a really cool collection when it's all done. This is a side of Bruce Wayne's origin story that we really don't get to see that much. Or maybe a third of the way down with my pile, give or take. Oh, this one's easy. I haven't read this yet. I can't read this yet. I am still significantly behind on Wonder Woman. I do like this cover, though. This is by Will Murray. Good. I was worried that I was going to be totally off, but no, it is Will Murray. I could be pronouncing it wrong, but he's done a few of the recent variants for Wonder Woman. They've been good. I am enjoying this run, but it's not anything outstanding or phenomenal. Like, it's not forgettable. I think that's a little too harsh. It's a step above forgettable and a couple steps below great. So what? 6 or 7 out of 10, I guess. Perfectly solid. This was my first time really reading a Wonder Woman ongoing, so I guess from that perspective, it's doing its job. It doesn't make me want to cancel it right away, and it's not boring. Although I am 6 or 7 issues behind, so maybe by now it totally sucks. But I'm enjoying it. Augie says, Trial of the Amazons next. I'm not doing that. I'm skipping that. Although John, who works at Mill Geek Comics with us, is super excited about that event. But I don't have a lot of love for mythology and gods and goddesses, and Wonder Woman is very heavily steeped in that. And I don't think I can handle an event where that's the main focus. I don't think I can do a Wonder Woman event. So maybe it's awesome, and maybe I will just be missing out. In which case I will catch up on the back end. But I'm not going to be getting the Trial of the Amazons event. Detective Comics, another one I have not read yet, but I'm pretty sure this issue is going to continue the awesome Arkham Tower plotline that's been going on every week in Detective Comics for the last 2 months, month and a half. It's been a while, and it's been really good. This is a really, really good Batman comic. Again, this is another one. It takes a lot for me to double dip on a series and pick it up on my shelf after it's all done. and I have to really like a comic for me to want to own it and display it and be able to loan it out to people. And Arkham Tower, the story that's been going on here right now, is one of those books. Like, if you are skipping Detective Comics, if you are only getting Batman, I personally recommend swapping that. Batman as a comic, the main Batman title, is a little disappointing, honestly, for me right now. So I'm much more enjoying Detective Comics. Oswald's Body. Okay, wow. All the ones I have not read are apparently all in one big chunk here in the middle. I have not read this one yet. Regarding the Matter of Oswald's Body, number 4 out of 5, I believe. This one is almost done. It's impossible for me to not compare this book to the Department of Truth. They both involve Lee Harvey Oswald. They both involve the JFK assassination and the conspiracies surrounding it. But where Department of Truth is definitely like a dark, gritty, horror-influenced conspiracy comic, this so far has felt more kind of lighthearted and almost heist flavor. It's got that same trope of like a heist movie where you have a guy who assembles a team of people to accomplish a task. Like, he's got a shooting expert and a car expert. And yeah, Sal says this doesn't have a supernatural element to it. Yeah, this is a very straightforward. It sucks because for me, I can't help but compare it to Department of Truth, which is unfair to this book. This is a really cool book. But I think in a world where Department of Truth exists, for me, it will always take a backseat because that is top-notch comic book storytelling in my mind. Whereas regarding the Matter of Oswald's Body is something totally different, but it's not bad. It just sucks that it's swimming in such similar waters. So I can't help but make the comparison. This story does have the benefit of being a miniseries. There's only one more issue of this, which I like. I like the fact that this is going to tell a complete story and be done. I don't think there's enough meat on the bone here to continue an ongoing or even do like a 12-issue story. I think this is going to be a nice, cool, short but sweet 5-issue story. And I don't know. I don't go back very often and read all 5 at once because I read everything twice as it's coming out because my memory sucks. But I'm probably going to pick up or take out all 5 issues of Oswald's Body out of my short boxes and give that a read through all at once it's all done, because it's good. Knighted. Okay, another one I haven't read yet. Wow. I swear I read a lot of these. But this is Knighted, another one from AWA. Number 4 of 5. This one's almost done. But the premise here is you've got a guy who works at a desk in the police station who's a big loser, a big dork, who accidentally kills his world's version of Batman, and now he has to kind of take over the role of Batman in order to protect himself and his family from not only supervillain reprisals, but he doesn't want to be on the hook for murder. So he's not really a good guy, but he has to dress up as his city's superhero to kind of save his own ass. But he's also not very good at it, which is unfortunate because there is a very qualified group of like kind of cyborg villains who are having their way with the city, robbing people and stealing stuff, and trying to find a good shot of them. I have not read this yet, so this is a little spoilery. Oh wow, it looks like they are getting actual cyborgs in here. Well, yeah, this is kind of a look at the enemies he's fighting. This is the main villain here. Not sure exactly what's happening in this issue. I have said over and over that AWA is my favorite publisher. I'm not in love with Knighted. It certainly is going to rank in the bottom half. I actually have been looking into this a lot lately because I will be doing I've already filmed a video with Greg, Bearded Comic Bro, my co-host on our weekly Comic Talk Live show on Fridays, which you should definitely watch. Him and I got together yesterday, actually, and recorded a a top 5, or it's kind of like a top 10. Sorry, is our favorite 10 series that AWA has done in their lifetime. And we looked it up. We looked at a list of everything they've ever done in the past 2 years that they've been out, that they've been publishing. They've done 28 comics, or 28 series, I guess, miniseries. And we talked about our favorites, our 10 favorites. This one didn't make the list. But I also go out of my way in that video to point out that they have only, in my opinion, out of all 28 things that they've done, I've read 25 of them, and only 2 of them were bad. I didn't like only 2 things they've done. This is not my favorite, but by no means is it a bad comic. It's, Sal's asking, is it more comedic? Yes and no. It starts out as pretty comedic because the very first page of this book is him proposing to his girlfriend at a fancy restaurant, and she turns him down, like, immediately. And it immediately sets up the tone of, like, this guy just can't catch a break. He's a big loser. He doesn't have anything going for him. He's a weakling. He sees himself as inferior to other men who work at the police station, who are like actual cops going out and solving crimes, and he's just there typing stuff in the computer. You know, he's an important part of the overall police presence, but he's not out there kicking down doors and waving his gun around, you know, being a hero. So it's I would like it a little bit more if he was less of a I don't know. There's something missing here. It certainly helps that the Batman character that he accidentally kills was a big jerk in and of himself. He is murdered. Murdered is not the right word. He is killed while he is hanging off the side of a building, being a peeping Tom on some ladies who are like taking their clothes off. So right away we get the sense that the superhero is really kind of he's not a good person. So I don't know. It's grounded, but it's also not at the same time. It's a weird mix. I wouldn't recommend this book for somebody's first comic from AWA. I think Sal has tried other comics from them before, but this one's fun. I would say probably if you are interested in trying it, wait until the trade, because AWA is also very good about putting out trade collections of their series, but they are only charging $10 for them, which is super awesome. That is very fair. That is a very fair price. That is what, $2 an issue for this series. It would be $2 an issue, so it'd be half off. If you would have tracked down all the single issues, you'd be paying $20 instead of $10. So it's at a good discount. Yeah, I'm on Fourth Man right now. See, I'm liking that one much more than I am liking Knighted. It is a lot more of a unique story, but I talked about Fourth Man last week, I believe. All right, moving on. Rain, number 2. Okay. So again, this is another book that showed up on my top 5 comics from January video that I just recently uploaded 2 days ago now. Rain has been pretty cool. The premise of this book is about rain, except the things that fall from the sky are sharp crystal needles instead of raindrops. So anybody who is outside uncovered gets killed, basically, because they're punctured by a whole bunch of sharp, pointy objects falling on them very fast. There's a lot of gross images in this book of people just punctured with stuff. So if you are really not into, I don't know anybody who is into needles, but if needles and like jabbing stuff, like if that really upsets you, then this is a book you definitely want to skip, because there's a lot of shots in here of holes in the flesh, and it's a little creepy. It's also just scary in the sense that, like, this is it's almost like a light apocalypse. Like, it's, at least so far, it doesn't feel like the end of the world, because it's one rainfall that happens, and it's about like 5 minutes of doom. You know, anybody who's outside dies, but I don't know how the world is going to really move on from that. That all happens in issue 1, and issue 2 is about this girl's kind of quest to travel 30 miles on foot, because the roads are covered with sharp needles. You can't really drive on those roads. So she sets off on foot 30 miles to Denver to track somebody down who is very near and dear to her. I'm trying to not spoil it because there's already, I feel like I've already over spoiled this comic enough, but it is a cool premise. It's only going to be 5 issues, which is another good thing. I don't think this book could go on forever. It is based on a novella from Joe Hill, which is already relatively short. So I'm liking it. I think it's got a cool combo of writing, and the artwork especially is really it's an interesting mixture of like cute and creepy. I'll try and show something off without being too gross. So I don't really give a lot of trigger warnings, I guess, but this book has some gore in it. And there's a dead animal, so that's not cool. Yeah, I'll do this page. This one's pretty safe. She gets bonked in the head with like a frisbee or something right there. Yeah, you can see all the needles on the ground that she has to walk through. And the art is a little bright and kind of cartoony, which I think works. I think makes it kind of seals the romantic tones that the first issue had. There's a love story in this book, which this art style fits a love story, but it makes the horrific elements of this comic stand out that much more because it's not really what you wouldn't think to have Zoe Thorogood, the artist here, you wouldn't think to have her do like an outright horror comic, like something is killing the children or something like that. So it works. I'm really enjoying the creative team here. It's a cool book. Rain, 2 out of 5. So that one's almost halfway done. Hi, kitty. Okay, I'm gonna do this one since it's big and I can't really. I'm going through all of this stack upside down, so I don't know what comic I'm pulling out and talking about until I flip it over. But this one is oversized, so I'm just gonna jump right into this one. This is The Lion and the Eagle, #1 from Aftershock. I spent all day today working at Mill Geek Comics, and as far as I saw, all the pull lists that I gave out to people who came in to pick up their comics today, nobody else got this book. I'll be interested to see if anybody else in the chat got this book or anybody in the comments after this video is live. I want to talk about this one with somebody. This is a World War II comic written by Garth Ennis, who did The Boys, Preacher, wrote a lot of Punisher stuff, which does have war elements in it. But this is a hard one to explain. It's a war comic, but it's about I don't think it's an ongoing. I think it's going to be a mini series. I hope it ends. I don't want this to go on forever. Oversized prestige format miniseries from Garth Ennis and PJ Holden. So yeah, this one is there you go, Sleepy Reader. This one is tough for me to describe. It is a World War II comic that takes place in not in Europe. So they're not fighting against the Nazis. They're over in the Pacific fighting against the Japanese. And it's almost not even a war comic. It clearly is. It's about soldiers in a war zone, but it's about 2 soldiers who are going back into a war zone a couple of years after leaving it in the first place. The 2 main characters in this book meet up in this war as they're evacuating from a mission that goes pretty wrong. They meet up, they strike up a friendship, and then they have to go back. So like, it's hard to describe. I'm doing a bad job. This is a really good book. I really liked it. It's a war comic. It takes place during a war. It takes place in a war zone, but there's not a lot of like battle sequences. There's not a lot of gunfighting and combat. It's definitely like a personal, dramatic story about 2 friends that just so happens to take place during a war, and those friends just so happen to be soldiers. It's a cool book, but it's not for everyone. It's a little slow. It's also big. It's a $8 oversized. I mean, it's big. Obviously, it's larger than a normal comic, but it's also longer. Like this is a lengthy read. I'm assuming that the action elements of this will heat up because this issue is about the soldiers, the two friends, and the rest of their squad or platoon or whatever the whatever the war word is. It's about them going back into a war zone. So I think things are going to heat up here in the next issue. But this is a cool one. I don't think I can recommend this to everybody unless you have a tolerance for a slower burn of a story, which is a little feels backwards because it's a war comic. On the surface, I feel like this should be, especially with Garth Ennis, I feel like this should have people's heads exploding and gunfire and lots of swear words and just be very violent. And it is. There are moments of violence in this first issue, but that's not the main takeaway that I got from it while reading it. Batman is coming out soon. Will Twilight Boy do good? Yes. Remember, you made me watch some movie to show his acting range. Yeah. Says Deganash. I don't specifically think I don't think I know who you are unless you have a different name on Instagram. But I have been telling people to watch the movie Good Time, starring Robert Pattinson for several years now on the Comic Tom channel. It just recently got taken off of Netflix like a week or two ago. So I don't know where you can find the movie Good Time, but Robert Pattinson has done a lot of really good movies since the end of Twilight. I think he's purposefully trying to move past that typecast role, and I personally think he's going to do phenomenal as Batman. I think his Bruce Wayne looks a little creepy and weird and not good. Not good, but like not cool. I don't know. He seems to be much more of an outcast loner kind of Bruce Wayne and not like the billionaire playboy, party man kind of. I could see Michael Keaton kind of pulling that off, like going to a big swanky dinner party and hooking up with a bunch of babes or something, but I don't get that vibe from Robert Pattinson's kind of greasy, almost creepy looking, sickly pale Bruce Wayne that I've seen in the trailers at least. But I'm super excited. I'm really excited to see this movie. I think I'm going to take the risk and go out to a movie theater and watch it. I still haven't gone to see Spider-Man No Way Home. I also really want to see the new Scream movie that is out right now, but I also don't have time to really go to the movies and like take that much time out of my day to not work. I spend a lot of time putting the mail call together every month and a lot of time reading all of these comics every single week. So it's a lot. But yeah, if you have any doubts about Robert Pattinson as Batman, check out the movie Good Time. I also really enjoyed The Lighthouse that he was in. He was really cool in Tenet, even though he wasn't in it that much. And I watched the movie High Maintenance with him in space. I wasn't as good, but he's still a really good actor. So he's got a lot of range. That's okay. This is a good subject change. It's a good one. I enjoy thinking about that movie. I'm very excited that it's like 2 weeks away. 2+ weeks away, right? I think it's 2 weeks away from this Friday, actually. Why did I just look? I just looked at the next book. I flipped it and I spoiled it for myself. The next book on this stack is Animal Castle number 3. I really need to read Animal Farm is kind of the lesson I'm learning as I read Animal Castle. I didn't have to read Animal Farm in school like a lot of people did. So I still haven't gotten around to actually reading that book. But from what I have heard and from the Wikipedia summary that I read yesterday, this comic is pretty close to the events of that book. My one complaint that I have about this comic is the lettering is microscopic, which is a gigantic, I don't want to say deal breaker, but it's very unfortunate. Although it's blurry as hell and you can't really see. Take my word for it. And it sucks too because it's not always that size. Like you can see in panels like right here, it's relatively normal size, but then you get down here and you really gotta squint. It's a relatively minor quibble in the grand scheme of things because all you got to do is concentrate a little more, or zoom in a little more, or whatever you have to do to read it better. But the plot in here is it's been a slow burn, honestly, through the first 2 issues of Animal Castle, but it is about Sleepy Beauty. That's what I was thinking too. The lettering is probably small because it's a shrunk down European comic. I've noticed that a lot. Was it Vault? Blaze is doing this comic, but comics I've read from Europe, and I've read a couple of them now. I think it's the formatting, but they have a lot more space on the top and bottom, kind of fit the different size that they do. Hi, kitty. But this comic is about an animal castle where the bull is kind of like the king, and he is exerting a lot of influence over everybody else, every other animal in here. And the seeds of a revolt are starting to form with the I want to say the lesser animals in this castle, but the smaller, weaker ones, like the kittens and the dogs and the sheep. Actually, no, the dogs are definitely like the soldiers of the king in this story. This one got his eye poked a little bit in the last issue, but things are starting to heat up in this issue. There's a little bit of rebellion kind of formulating in this chapter, and the first 2 stories were more of the slow burn, I guess, and it's approaching a boiling point already. I don't know how long this book is going to go for, but I can't see it continuing forever at the rate that it is progressing now, which is probably good. I don't think this story has enough runway to kind of go forever. I would like to see it end 5 or 6 issues, maybe. I don't know. I haven't looked into it, but I am enjoying this. Sleepy Beauty says he's feeling FOMO over Animal Castle. I don't know if you mean like from a flipping perspective, like a financial, like you can flip it for a lot of money perspective. I don't see this book really being as popular or sought after as like Stray Dogs was last year. This comic has a lot more. There's a lot more happening under the water in this story, if that makes sense. Stray Dogs was a very cool story on the surface, but there wasn't a lot of deeper subtext. Like, there was no like political allegory or anything like that in Stray Dogs. Animal Castle is a lot more niche. Therefore, I don't think it will have as much wide appeal. However, I am not a spec person, so I can't speak to that nature of it. No FOMO because friends are saying it's great, but I can't find copies. Yeah, it'd be hard to find a lot of these. We don't have a lot of people, at least at our shop, who have pre-ordered this comic. So if we don't get a lot of people pre-ordering it, we don't order a lot of extra copies to end up on the wall for people who didn't order it to maybe take a chance on it. So that's one of the reasons why I like to, at least at our shop, I like to have people, like to convince people who just think they can walk in on Wednesday and pick up any book they want. That like it's not necessarily going to be there. But I think, especially if this story ends after 5 or 6 issues, I would rather have this as a trade or even a hardcover when it's all said and done. Hopefully, it'll be a little bit of a bigger hardcover, so the lettering will be bigger, because that's really my biggest beef with this story is the small words, which is not really that big of a beef when you get down to it. I live in Alaska. I don't get the Animal Castle here. Oh man, maybe I'm just spoiled. I don't know. It's a cool book. It's exactly the kind of book that I think I'm going to, whenever it's done, I'm going to pick up a trade or even a digital collection of it. And then I would like to sell my single issues to somebody like you guys who didn't get the chance to read it as it was coming out. I like to consider myself helpful in that sense, where somebody who wants to read it, who didn't get the chance, who would appreciate having the single issues more than I would, because I personally prefer a nice hardcover versus the very flimsy and fragile single issue that I have to read with freaking gloves on. Whatever, it's a whole thing. Rambling at this point. My FOMO on a lot of things ends when I get the trade months later. Yeah, but sometimes I don't like getting trades either. Like it's weird. I don't feel like I'm making sense. I have to really like something to get it in a trade. I talked about that earlier tonight, but like for me to justify buying it again in a trade format, like I have to really like it. Whatever. Moving on. What's this? Nightwing. This is Nightwing 89? Yeah. Oh, this is the Superman crossover. It's a 2-part story. I think this is part 1. Ooh, yeah, here we go. Batman. Just talking about that. I believe this is part 1, and then the second part of this will happen in part 1 of 2, and it continues in Superman, Son of Kal-El, number 9. But the 2 DC books that Tom Taylor is writing, he's having them cross over. And I don't know, it's hard to describe without spoiling, I guess, but there's really not much here to spoil. I have been in love with both Nightwing and Superman, Son of Kal-El since they started, or at least since Tom Taylor took them over. He's just a really good writer. He's got such a good way of getting to the heart of the moment, I guess. And the way this story opens has a pretty touching scene with Batman and Nightwing, Clark Kent and Jonathan Kent, as Jonathan kind of runs away, and Superman asks Batman and Dick Grayson to help him track down Jonathan Kent here, back when he was a little guy. And then, you can see him here. This story, the bulk of this story deals with them in the present day, when John is quite a bit older. However, he ages up because he goes up into space, and like space stuff happens, and then he comes back down to Earth, and he is aged up significantly in a short amount of Earth time. So he is now a teenager, while Dick Grayson is still relatively the same age. So they're a lot closer in age in the present day, but he's still very inexperienced. Jonathan Kent is. Yeah, if you are already reading Nightwing and Superman, Son of Kal-El, or even if you are, especially, I guess, if you are reading only one of those titles, hopefully by picking up both of these comics to get the full 2-part story arc, hopefully that convinces you to stay on both of them moving forward, because those are 2 of my favorite DC books right now. They're just perfect. Like Tom Taylor, and especially the artwork in Nightwing, Bruno Redondo is a fantastic artist, and the 2 of them together, they do excellent work. And we are now down to this many books. What is that, 6, 7? Camera did a good job of autofocusing there. Maybe I'll even have some time after this to actually read the rest of these. Oh, Primordial. Okay, I will hold this back here so you can kind of get a better glimpse at the... I feel like this is the meme. Is this the dog meme on the cover? I don't know, but this is apparently artwork by Brian Michael Bendis on this variant. I'm going to keep this one closed because this is the final chapter of Primordial, the 6-issue story about 2 monkeys and a dog who get launched into space, and via contact with some alien intelligence, their own intelligence kind of leaps forward, and they are trying to get back to Earth. I'm explaining this in a way that does no favors to the story. It's a great story, and ignore my weird, feeble attempt at making it sound like something more than monkeys in space. Which obviously this comic is much more than monkeys in space. But also that's exactly what it is. It's a really cool story. I don't know. I really liked it. This one I will probably I don't know what kind of... I'm assuming it's going to come out in hardcover, but honestly, I think I would rather have this one digitally. I liked it, but I don't love this comic. It's not going to be something I shout from the rooftops for years to come, which is more or less what I like to save my shelf for. Primordial is just a really solid 6-issue standalone kind of story, and I do want to own it moving forward in a format that is not single issue floppies, which I really hate saying, but eventually I would like to sell this whole set to somebody at a claim sale, because I think Primordial is a really cool story with phenomenal artwork by Andrea Sorrentino. But yeah, I'm very sad to see it done. It had a very emotional conclusion, and I don't want to say anything more than that, because if you haven't read this story yet, I think the less you know, the better before you get into it. So yeah, Primordial. Although maybe don't get the Doge cover by Brian Michael Bendis, which I feel like he just took a picture of a dog on the internet and zoomed in really far. I don't know. Hello, Luke. Yeah, it is a very late night here. I had extra work to do on the mystery mail call tonight, because we are packaging that up starting tomorrow into Saturday. And I also couldn't figure out how to work a webcam, apparently. That's how my night's going. Oh boy, this is Justice League 72. Did I read this? Yes. Okay. That's a bad sign. I have really not been a fan of this Bendis Justice League run. I have said it multiple times during these streams. Yeah, I'm really not enjoying this story, and I'm very glad he is about to be off of this title, but the whole title is about to be done too. There's not really going to be a Justice League comic, at least for the immediate future. Something I love about at least the first part of this comic is the art in here is done by Simon Kudransky, who I really like. This is a Justice League dark story, at least this part of it is, and the art in here is dark, which makes sense. It probably isn't coming off as well on camera as it does in person, but the way he plays with shadows and light is really cool. The story is relatively generic. If you didn't know, this new Justice League team has Black Adam on it, which is weird because Black Adam is a villain, but he has been rolling with the Justice League and trying to do good for a while. But no surprise that this story is kind of based around a premonition that several magic wielding characters like Zatanna and some other magic characters that I don't know, they get a premonition of Black Adam doing something really bad and scary and evil. And it looks like that is going to come true here pretty soon. I don't know if he's going to be the reason the Justice League dies in issue 75, I think, and this was number 72. So this comic is almost done, which, thank goodness. I don't like it. I'm really disappointed with this run. Moving on. What's the furthest place from here? This is a run I am pleasantly surprised with. I'm liking this comic more and more with each issue. When this was announced, I almost didn't get it because it is very it's very punk, I guess is a word for it. It's punk influenced. It's got a lot of music influence. Two things I don't really identify with, but there's also it's just got such a unique post-apocalyptic vibe, and especially this issue when our kids, the main characters in the story, end up at a carnival, and it is an excuse for the artist Tyler Boss. Let me double check. I believe it's Tyler Boss. It just says Tyler Boss and Matthew Rosenberg storytelling, and I know Matthew Rosenberg is a writer, so I'm assuming Tyler Boss does the artwork. I'm not familiar with the two of them, or at least the two of them as a creative team, as I should be. I know they did 4 Kids Walk Into a Bank and a couple other things other than this. I did enjoy this something is killing the children reference here. Something is kissing the children, like a kissing booth. I appreciated that little nod at a carnival here. It's hard to describe the plot of this book. It's spectacularly difficult, but it is roughly about this group of kids leaving their safe haven in this post-apocalyptic world to track down their missing friend. One of their friends, one of their gang members, they're kind of a gang. One of them just wanders off. And this is 4 issues in now, and they have been tracking her down, or like trying to track her down for 4 issues now. This comic feels a little bit like Deadly Class. It feels a little bit like the Warriors. So it's a weird mishmash of different stories, which I'm surprised at how much I don't hate this comic, because it's on paper, this is everything I don't like about every kind of storytelling trope that I don't like, but it's written and drawn in a way that makes me appreciate it. Whereas I feel like if this was a movie, if this story was told in a movie, it would be very easy for me to skip and ignore. But in a comic form, I'm really surprised. I'm glad I took the chance on what's the furthest place from here. Down to the last few issues from this week. All right, this one should be quick. This is Amazing Spider-Man number 89. It's about the Goblin Queen, like the Beyond Corporation, who has been kind of manufacturing Ben Reilly Spider-Man. They're also apparently manufacturing villains for their heroes to fight. I can't remember why they're doing this, but they give Ben Reilly's psychiatrist basically like green goblin juice or something that makes her turn into a goblin monster, and comic books. Like, there's no real explanation that they give for this. And there is, but it basically involves them jabbing her in a secret lab with some kind of, let me see exactly what they say. Green Goblin assets. They don't even really clarify more than that. It's, in my head, it's goblin juice, which is a much funnier way to describe it. I can't recommend this comic. I am enjoying the Beyond storyline that they've been doing for 14 issues or so. I'm enjoying it. I didn't think I would. So the fact that I'm liking it more than I expected is nice, but I cannot really recommend this as a starting point, especially because this Beyond story is basically just a fill-in between two larger runs on Spider-Man that Nick Spencer started in 2018, and when he jumped off, this Beyond storyline took over, and this is going to be wrapping up, I think, in April. So if you're desperate to read Spider-Man, I would recommend, instead of trying to track all these down, I would recommend just wait until the new Spider-Man #1 starts with Zeb Wells writing and John Romita Jr. on the artwork. I came in late. What do you think about Black Panther 3? The comic was pretty cool. I don't understand. I guess I kind of understand why people are losing their minds over it. There is a new Wakandan character who pops up in there. This is my first Black Panther ongoing series, so for me, I don't necessarily understand why everybody's losing their mind over that comic. It is a first appearance of somebody, but I don't know what people are seeing that I'm not seeing. It's a cool book, and I think on its own, it's worth reading. But as far as selling a whole bunch of stories, a whole bunch of other comics to afford a super jacked up price version of Black Panther 3, I don't know. I can't recommend it personally, but if you really want to, go for it, I guess. I don't know if that's what you meant, but that's what I'm saying. Did you jump into this latest ASM run or start with Brand New Day and above? When I first started doing comic book stuff with Comic Tom back in early 2018, so 4 years ago, was right around the time that Nick Spencer and Ryan Ottley started Amazing Spider-Man #1. So I jumped in there. That was one of the first series I subscribed to back when I started getting into comics again, or at least weekly comics again. Hi, Kitty. I didn't read a lot of Amazing Spider-Man before this. Just Ultimate Spider-Man, really. I definitely haven't. I don't think I've read any of the Dan Slott Spider-Man stuff. It's a gigantic run, so I've thought about going back and starting from the beginning I think from Brand New Day. I think it's his first story arc in that run, but I never have. I don't know if I will ever have the time to do that. I would like to, because I know there's some cool stuff in there, but I don't know when I'll have the time to do that. Yeah, hi, kitty. Hi. Ultimate Spider-Man is the best. Yeah, I agree. Just got the Omni. I have that down here. It is enormous, though. This is one of the few runs I'm trying to get in singles from start to finish, but I do have the gigantic Volume 1. Good God, this is heavy. Ultimate Spider-Man 1 through 39 and Ultimate Spider-Man 1/2. There's a lot in here. But yeah, I have all of my big, gigantic, heavy books I have to keep on the bottom of the bookshelf because these shelves are flimsy as hell, and this one's already starting to bend a little bit. But yeah, I love absolutes. Like a lot, I have a lot of DC absolutes down here, but they are too heavy to display. Got like this guy. I should keep this out because I'm like halfway through this. Whatever. Moving on. I got distracted. Yeah, I don't buy Black Panther and totally missed out on that issue. Yeah, I just got lucky. I made the decision to subscribe to it because it recently restarted with a new #1. I'm trying to be better about that. Like, jump onto series when I get the chance. I'm going to be subscribed to the upcoming Ghost Rider #1 that's about to come out, and the Carnage series. And I know there's a new #1 right here. No, close though. Actually, yeah, this is a Hulk #4. It is relatively recent. There was no way I was going to not continue on with this book after Immortal Hulk and after hearing that Donny Cates was taking over. This is a really cool book. However, I still don't know what the hell's happening in here. I really wish I could wait and just read this all at once, but I can't. It's partly my job to talk about comics every week to customers who come into our shop. I need to stay informed on especially bigger titles like the Hulk, but this story in particular it moves very fast, and that's not a bad thing. I just think in terms of somebody whose brain is pudding like me, it would help to read it all at once. Thankfully, the art in here is, I really like it. Ryan Ottley is a really good artist, and he's very well suited for Hulk. I had my doubts before I saw the first issue of this series. Hey, be nice. I had my doubts before I saw the first issue of the series because I had thought of him as mostly like an Amazing Spider-Man artist, and that he wouldn't necessarily be able to handle. I don't know if handle is not the right word. He did Invincible, and that book was pretty gnarly. But Amazing Spider-Man was my biggest exposure to Ryan Ottley, and it's a much more cartoony comic than something like Hulk. But he's doing very well drawing this. I'm going to go let my cats out of the room because they're being a little obnoxious buttheads. One sec. There you go. Get the hell out. All right. Perfect timing. So I only got 3 left. #1. Nope. Oh, God. This is number 12. Deep Beyond #12. I have been very vocal about how this is... honestly, this is my second least favorite book on my pull list. Which is faint praise, I guess. I really don't like Future State Gotham from DC Comics. I think I like that less than Deep Beyond. But this comic has been... I don't even know why I'm showing you. Like, what are we gonna see here? I wanted this to be an underwater horror story, but it quickly turned into a story featuring like parallel dimensions, and it's just a just a lot here that there was no horror really. It wasn't scary. And I wanted a horror book, like a Lovecraftian kind of underwater scary story. And this is mainly about a girl trying to find her lost sister, which is fine. I mean, I got nothing against that, but I guess it might just be a case of my expectations being different. I'm hoping that this is going to be somebody's cup of tea, because it is certainly not mine. I think it would read best all at once. However, I have zero desire to sit down with all 12 issues of this and do that. I missed an issue of this comic, number 8 or 9 or something, so I now have to go back and read 4 issues of this all at once. 9, 10, 11, and 12. So I'm not looking forward to doing that because I really don't like this comic. It is not for me. Deep Beyond. This is written by Mirka Andolfo. Yeah, Mirka Andolfo, and I should have checked this before I closed it. If I'm going to insult the comic, I should at least be nice and say who did it. I don't know, is that right? Is that fair? If I'm insulting it, shouldn't I just let it go? Created by Mirka Andolfo and David Goy, with art by Andrea Braccardo. Okay. It's really cool art. I like the art in here. I don't know. The story was not what I wanted. It was not what I wanted. And unless the final 4 issues that I haven't read, unless they completely do a 180 and fix the problems that I had with the first 7 or 8 issues that I did read, I don't know. They can't all be winners. But I am also learning to trying to learn to acknowledge that even though something may not be my favorite, that there could be somebody out there who loves Deep Beyond more than any other comic. It's just not my jam. There are 2 books left, and I know what one of them is offhand because I've been thinking about it, and it's not this one. All right, this is another one that I'm missing Venom 4. I had to go buy Venom 4 on eBay because our shop sold out of them. We didn't order enough, and apparently it's like the first appearance of something or somebody in Venom number 4, so I had to go on eBay and buy it for like $15, which is stupid and irritating, but I'm not about to let one issue, especially so early in the run, derail me from sticking with this storyline moving forward. So yeah, I got no idea what's happening in here. I have not read Venom since issue 3, but I like it. It's, again, I think both Venom and Hulk did a writer swap, and I think both books have been a little bit subpar since they swapped writers. But I also think that it is still too early to write either one of them off. Although I am an issue behind on Venom, so maybe I missed the boat and issue 4 totally sucked. But if that's the case, I don't know why it would be selling out everywhere and be selling for $15 on eBay. Or maybe I just overpaid and should have waited a week. But whatever, I should get Venom 4 next week. So I'm hoping to read that in time before number 6 comes out. Yeah, this was number 5. So that means the last issue is Iron Fist number 1. I was kind of surprised at how much I did not hate this comic. Does that mean? I don't know if that's mean. That sounded mean. Iron Fist number 1. This is a new Iron Fist, and the spec on this was that Swordmaster was going to be the new Iron Fist, and that is the case. I don't know if that's a spoiler for anybody, but sorry. This is apparently a 5 or 6 issue miniseries. This is not going to be an ongoing. And I was excited to see that Danny Rand, the classic Iron Fist of years gone, is still very much in this story. I had seen this cover and saw that it was a new Iron Fist, and I had just assumed this was going to be. I stupidly assumed this was going to be taking place in the future after this guy had already, gotten his bearings and had been the new Iron Fist for a while. But clearly, he, at least in this issue, he is still kind of going through a training wheels period. But he meets up with Danny Rand here, and they have a little bit of the same thing that usually happens when two good guys meet up and they don't realize they're both on the same team. They do a little bit of a fight, and they end up discovering that there's an actual bad guy that they need to go track down. It's not revolutionary. There's nothing, at least so far in this comic, there wasn't anything completely groundbreaking. But there was a recent Iron Fist miniseries called Heart of the Dragon from like last year, maybe late 2020. I don't remember exactly when that came out, but I really didn't like that comic. This is a much better, I guess, because it's more of an origin story. We're getting to see this guy's kind of first steps as an Iron Fist. So I think this works much better as a beginner's kind of Iron Fist story than the recent Iron Fist Heart of the Dragon story was. But yeah, I enjoyed that comic a lot, actually. I was prepared to not like it, so maybe that's why I set my bar pretty low. So maybe that's why I ended up liking it more than I was prepared to. But whatever, it was good. I'll try and take this glove off, but I'm just gonna do that later. All right, but yeah, that's my whole stack. That is the whole stack, plus those, and also plus the Lion and the Eagle, big beefy comic that does not fit in the stack. Whew. Hour and 16 minutes. This was it felt like a long one, but I guess that's about the average length of all of these live streams lately. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. I will be back next week, hopefully much earlier in the day than this. Although I don't know how much earlier. The fact that I'm doing this on my laptop means I don't have to do this at Mystery Mail Call headquarters, which is where I used to do this when I was on my phone, because my Wi-Fi sucks at my house. It's much better at work. Whatever. Long story short, I'm going to be doing these live streams from here in the future, but that might mean they'll be happening a little later in the day, just hopefully not this late every time. We'll see. I don't know. I'm playing it by ear still. It's all a big learning experience, but yeah, thank you guys for hanging out. Like and subscribe and comment and do all that stuff. It's good to see some of you are appreciating the late night element of this DJ Steam. So I don't know. We'll try different things. I'll see what works. But bottom line, I just want to make sure I get in the habit of doing this every Wednesday. I have been doing it every Wednesday for several months now, but I like to give perspective on what I'm reading. It keeps my brain working in the right ways. Corner the After Dark market. I don't know. This is my good reading time. This is normally when I get all my reading done. So we'll see. That's what I'm going to go do right now, though. I'm going to read the stuff in here that I did not get to, and maybe read other things. Like, I'm pretty locked into reading my weekly comics every week. This is a big stack, and it doesn't leave me much time to do non-current comics, like the Dan Slott Amazing Spider-Man run, for example. Like, when am I ever going to get the time to read that? Probably right now. Now I'm not going to read that right now, but now that I'm done with whatever. Now I'm just rambling. Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna hit the end stream button. Thank you guys for hanging out. I will see you on Friday. I'll be doing Comic Talk Live with Bearded Comic Bro and Comics Will Break Your Heart. We're going to be going over 6-ish of our favorite comics from this week. I assume I have most of them because I feel like I have most of the comics that came out this week. But yeah, check that show out on Friday if you have not. It's more of a conversation. It's just me rambling into the ether. So yeah, I will see you guys on Friday, and if not, then next Wednesday. Peace.